And news just coming in, Diego Maradona, the football legend, is no more. He passed away just a short while back. He died at home in Argentina. He was 60 years old. That's the information that's just coming in. Now, Diego Maradona had undergone a brain surgery. He'd undergone a surgery to remove a clot in his brain just 3 weeks ago, and he'd returned home. Now, Diego Maradona, as you well know, widely regarded as one of the greatest footballers of all time. His life on the field and off the field, equally flamboyant, equally flamboyant. Of course, people have talked about his battles with cocaine, his drug addiction, his alcohol addiction, and who can forget that famous goal and the hand of God. Diego Maradona is no more. He died of a heart attack, we are being told, just days after he turned 60 years old. We are now being told that he passed away at home barely 3 weeks after he underwent a surgery to remove a blood clot in his brain. The images that you see on your television screen, the 1986 World Cup. Remember, England was knocked off, Argentina knocked off England out of the tournament in a match that saw him score that goal. I think you're watching that goal on your television screen. Infamous goal, as many would say, because it was described as the hand of God that got that goal. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's consultant editor Rajdeep Sardesai for more on this. Rajdeep, a full life, a big life, a flamboyant footballer, now no more.
Gaurav, clearly the footballer of the 1980s generation, a superstar who really was someone who redefined football in a way, and certainly after Pelé, no other footballer has acquired the kind of international recognition that Maradona did. Of course, in the present generation, you have Messi and Ronaldo. But clearly, Maradona, along with Pelé, will be regarded as the two greatest footballers of the 20th century. He had a very difficult, tormented life after sport, charges of drug abuse, and a life that perhaps did not measure up to what he achieved on the field. But for Argentinians and indeed people across the world who saw football in the 1980s and 90s, in many ways, Maradona defined the art of the beautiful game. The hand of God is what he's remembered for in terms of controversy, but let's not forget in that same World Cup in 1986, he virtually won the World Cup on his own, or with his own 2 feet for Argentina. And that's something which I don't think any other footballer can claim, to actually win a World Cup almost on his own, really lifting the Argentinian team to the very summit of the sport. So he will be remembered as a true legend of the sport.
But Boria Majumdar also joins us on the broadcast, and Boria, very flamboyant on field, equally flamboyant off field. Boria, he'll be remembered as perhaps one of the greatest legends of the game.
Not one of the greatest. I mean, the term maverick genius was coined for him, Gaurav. I spent 4 days with him, close, like you and me are talking, that kind of 4 days, practically 20 hours a day in Calcutta for 4 days. And I can tell you from personal experience, he was an absolute maverick genius. He didn't like anything. I mean, all I will tell you is, wherever he is, in heaven, somebody should give him a football, because otherwise he will not be at peace with himself. The only time Diego Armando Maradona is at peace is when he had that ball. I can tell you, Rajdeep was talking about, arguably one of the greatest. No, boss, he is the greatest. When you talk about Pelé, you talk about Garrincha, you talk about Vava, you talk about Didi, you talk about Carlos Alberto. When you talk Maradona, he had a mediocre team. He had a Burruchaga and a Valdano. That's all. 1986, that football World Cup. And by the way, this is no other sport but football, the toughest ever sport that one plays in the world. And Diego Maradona managed to win that competition. The visuals that you are showing on screen, on his own. People talk about the hand of God goal.
Yes.
Think of this goal. Think of this goal against England. He got the ball at the halfway line, and then seven English defenders and midfielders and goal. The next match against Belgium, people forget. Belgium was playing unbelievable football. 2 goals against Belgium. And then in that final against Germany, a 3-2 victory, setting it up. And by the way, people also forget that while he was not at his best in the next World Cup, he once again managed to take Argentina to the final. This man is of a very different level. Only thing is, he wasn't able to come to terms with life, Gaurav. Except football, everything else deserted him.
Yes. In fact, that's a very important point you raise. And Boria, before I come back to you on life beyond football, Rajdeep, if I may, because the moment he was off field and especially after the heydays of playing, it was a lot about drugs, drug abuse, especially cocaine and alcohol abuse that perhaps got him down.
I think, look, life for Diego Maradona was difficult once the magic of football on the field had left him. In that sense, it is a tragic life as well at one level. Boria is right that he was at his happiest when he had a football around him. And I think that's how he should be remembered. That's how the world will remember him today. As Diego Maradona, who once he had a football in hand, had this magical left foot, had this magical ability to beat the best of defenders across the world. The debate about Pelé and Maradona can go on for years. Boria may have his view. There will be equally a number of others who will also be supporters of Pelé. That's another debate that will divide Kolkata and the world. But let's be clear. I don't think rather than comparing sports person, what we should just remember is that Diego Maradona had a profound impact on an entire generation of footballers. And even today, the fact that the goals that he scored are remembered with such fondness reflects just the mesmerizing quality of the man. If you grew up in the 1980s, he was unarguably the superstar of that entire generation and probably transcending all sports. By the 90s, you had the likes of Michael Jordan, who also played that role. In the 60s and 70s, you had Ali along with Pelé. But the 80s generation, to my mind, was Maradona as the premier superstar of his time, and purely through his footballing genius is what we should be remembering him today. Yes, he had a difficult, tormented afterlife, but I think that, in a sense, must eventually become a footnote in the larger canvas of what was a spectacular football career, not just for Argentina, but let's not also forget the manner in which he lifted clubs like Napoli in particular to the heights that he was able to take them. I think that was what, he could lift a team. He was, in a team sport, a magical individualist, and that is all too rare.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.